Hey, welcome. Today we're going to review the second part of the Steve Jobs lessons learned, tips, whatever you want to call it. And we've got a bunch of them. So let's start rolling. Okay. And most of those tips are basically from the most recent book, the biography about Steve Jobs, and let's hit the road. So Steve was always focused on both mixing and connecting both the science and technology fields and the humanities. So what does this mean? He would look at solutions that are both a great technology innovation and yet capture human imagination and ignite strong feelings. So the iPod, for example, and the iPhone, for that matter, they brought lots of joy, and they were based on technological innovative technological solutions. Now, basically, the root of innovation, one of the sources of innovation, is basically taking your great ideas and knowledge from realm A and applying them to realm B. So if you're such as, for example, learning how to influence people, how to market better, and then using this experience in the IT and technology industry, where people are usually only focused on technology. They're best at creating technological solutions, but they don't know much about influence and marketing. So once you combine two fields of expertise and you create something new, it may have much bigger effect in general. And so that's one way to look at it. Now, so when Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak started selling the Blue Box, it was an appliance that allowed people to call long-distance calls without paying AT&T, which were the biggest phone company at that time in the U.S. So they sold each unit for $150. Okay, but the value of this, if you forgive them about doing such a hack, it was basically illegal. But it the value of it was they could see that Steve Wozniak could create technological solutions that can outrun huge companies and solution providers such as AT&T, and that Steve Jobs had the ability to actually sell them for a very nice profit. So this built the confidence and energized them to start Apple and to launch the Apple I computer and the Apple II and beyond. So the lesson is, when you go on your journey, you have a project, you have an innovation, you're creating a team, and you should put focus on building your confidence. Pick small projects that mean a lot to you and make sure you succeed. And naturally, sometimes you'll have failures during this project. But as soon as you reach success, the confidence will be your fuel for next much bigger goals. So that's about this. Now, let's talk a bit about Steve's distortion field. So Steve could make himself and others believe they could do the impossible. He would say, hey, I want this project done in just 4 days. And you would say, well, that's impossible. It usually takes months until such a project can be completed. But he would just stare at you and say, believing in it in all his heart, you're going to do it. I know you're going to do it. And as a result, people really did succeed that way, in a huge way. So, for example, Steve Wozniak was creating an Atari game And Steve Jobs told him, if you finish this in just 4 days, then we have a large bonus. And basically he thought he couldn't do it. But then Steve Jobs was so confident that he actually did it. He didn't sleep, he didn't eat for 4 days, and he did it. Now, you could say, yeah, but this can be very foolish. I mean, saying you can do things and while you can't really, and then you'll fail and all this. Well, sometimes, well, maybe many times, our perspective on what is achievable and what it means to achieve it, it depends on our knowledge and our previous experience. And if you want to leapfrog, if you want to create a real massive change, then you have to believe in the impossible. It's foolish. And sometimes many innovations and successful products succeed just because the innovator was foolish enough and didn't know much enough about the size of his goal, that he just did it and he achieved this goal. If he would have the knowledge that many other people have, if he wouldn't be a bit of foolish, he would understand the amount of effort, luck, and other means that you have to put into it, that he wouldn't start it at all. So now, Steve distortion field was actually his ability to become fully he would fully believe in something he would want to achieve, and he was so believing in it and so convinced about it that you couldn't resist falling into this preposition that it can be done. And sometimes when people working with him would know more about this distortion field, they would create, anti-distortion field solutions, not to avoid success, but to kind of, make it less edgy. So, for example, they would say, they would, when they felt they're getting into a situation where they're being massively influenced to do something which may be not very possible, they would send a signal to one other team member that is on this meeting with Steve, and would kind of ask for help to pull him out of this distortion field by maybe making a remark or trying to change the subject or support them in their objection. Anyway, the big thing about this is that you have to understand that sometimes when you want to achieve a big goal, you have to create inside of you the confidence and the belief that it can be done, even if you don't see how it can be done, or if it looks like a slim chance. Otherwise, you won't be able to start or bring it to fulfillment. So, the next thing is Steve wanted to learn at some point how to design Apple's product better when he returned to Apple. And what he did is he took a close look at the products of companies that he thought highly of. So he looked at Sony's brochures and products, and he digested them and tried to learn how they package their products, how do they design them. But then most of Sony products were created with black, they were colored black, and until this time I think it's so. But he decided he would take the white, clean, simple line instead of Sony's black line. And the rest is history, as people say. But the main lesson about this is if you want to create something that looks great, something that's innovative, find out who is doing a great job that you personally acknowledge, and digest this, learn, go through the details, and then create your own perspective and solution. Okay, so let's go over a phrase that Steve Jobs and Apple were pitching for a very long time. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Okay, so if you take a look at Apple's products, they are most cases very simple to use, and it's very easy to create software products, solutions, and products that have lots of features. They can do a lot, and over time you tend to add more and more features. Take a look at Windows, for example, just to be able and justify the value of those products, and be able to charge more, get more money for the next editions of the product. But what Apple says, and there's a lot in it, is that if you create stuff that allows a simple operation of the simple use of the product, then you've got it. Because in order to be able and create a simplified product, something that someone can very easily use, you have to digest the problem that this product should solve. You have to know very much, lots of stuff about the problem you want to solve, the different ways you can solve it, and so on, to be able and then create a one button or very simple method of reaching the solution. We all, as IT professionals, we know lots about products, monitoring products that can show you dozens and dozens of measures and scales and whatever. But it's not easy to find a product that you can activate very quickly and get an answer for the questions you're most interested in. And this is something we should focus more on as IT professionals, as product creators. Okay. Another slogan that Apple used was that real artists simplify, and that less is more. And it's more about it's basically the same as saying simplicity is the ultimate satisfaction. Okay, so you have to make things intuitively usable, intuitively simple to use. Let's go to the next item. So people do judge a book according to its cover. And that's the reason why it's not, when Apple designs products, they don't put attention only on the product itself and how it looks like, how it operates. The packages get lots of attention, so that when you open a box with an Apple product, it's lovely to see it inside the box, how you can feel the care and that was taken when they put the product in the packaging, so that you can easily grab it. You can take it out, and it's kept safe until you open it. The box itself looks clean. It looks nice. It looks, like a great value product. So that's exactly what all of us should do when we create our solutions, when we present our projects. We should make sure we don't only deliver good results, we don't only solve a problem. We should make sure that when we give this report, when we hand over this project, this software, whatever, that it's packaged in a way that shows how much care we've put into it. Okay, and in this respect, this is one of the reasons, or it's related to why Steve was paying very close attention to even the inner chips, the inner chipboards that computers and Apple products have. He said they should look great from the inside and not only from the outside. And the reason is that when you create something that looks great on the outside, but it's messy in the inside, and I'm not talking about the fact that you have lots of effort spent in maintaining and supporting something that is messy in the inside. It can be software, it can be an appliance, it can be even a shirt in the box. It doesn't matter. The fact is that besides all this, you as the product owner, as the project leader, you know it is messy inside. And you go along with this feeling, knowing that it is not enough attention was put in putting all the parts in order in a beautiful manner. You know it. And then you think less about yourself, about your products, and it will it will manifest itself in the way that you push this product forward, in the way that you talk about it, and eventually in the way that other people think about this product once they have glimpse into what you have inside. Okay, so it was said many times that Steve could be very hard with his team members. He could really speak in a way that would have them feel really bad. And whoever, but if you take a close look, whoever learned from what Steve was trying to convey and take a deep look at it and then execute it in the right direction, they could then later on stand up to Steve Jobs and earn his appreciation. And I think by the end of the Steve Jobs biography, he was, the author asked Steve, are you sure why were you behaving that way? And he said, firstly, that's who I am. I'm not a sophisticated, person. I speak very bluntly. And he also kind of said, I'm not sure he said it, but it's my perception. Many of the cultures that we have now around the world pitch talking nicely to other people, making sure you don't hurt their feelings. But the thing is that if eventually this leads to not saying the truth about stuff. And Steve was very focused on saying, he wasn't focused on good manners. He was focused, and I'm not saying it's a nice thing, but he was more focused on making sure his message is delivered without any unclear parts. So, and the other thing, I think he felt that if he delivers his message very bluntly, then and the other person doesn't break, then he has a very good candidate for the future. And it kind of mixes or integrates with the fact that Steve said you should never compromise for less than perfect. So even if you have to miss the schedule, for example, the first Mac was shipped 16 months late because of Steve wanted to make sure it's perfect the best way he can. And the first Mac was superb. It has its flaws, but relatively to The time he was released, it was a superb product. So, never compromise until you have something you feel very good about. And schedule, well, we all have to meet our schedules, but there was always something you can do about moving the schedule. If you communicate in a way that shows the value of taking more time, then people will let you change the schedule. So, but if you provide a project, a service, a solution that is not perfect, you've lost, much more than convincing people you should move the deadline. Okay. The other thing related to it, and kind of you could say it negates it, is that nothing is done until it's shipped. True artists ship. And we all have many, many projects which are almost completed. And if basically some of them are complete, but we don't ship them. We have this program, it's ready, we don't announce about it. We have this product, it's basically all the parts are there, even the marketing of the product is there, everything is there, but we don't ship it. We don't tell people about it, we don't give it, we don't ship it. It's not done. And why it's not done? It's because you don't ship it, because you don't feel that you can go through this process. You are afraid to give it away. You're afraid to ship it. And so even if it's ready, it's not really done. Only when you ship it, it's done. And it's done when you confront your fears and or complete whatever is really needed to be completed. Sometimes you don't announce a solution because you feel it needs more things done to it. So that's fine. Do them. It's not done until you ship it. Okay. Another slogan, which is really great. People were telling Steve at some point, hey, how can we expect people to give so much effort, so much energy? We don't even reward them appropriately money-wise. And So he said, well, the journey is the reward. He told team members, we are creating the future. And one day you will look back and be proud of what you just were part of. So you probably can take a look at your current, whatever you're doing right now, whatever you're asking other people to do, and ask yourself, am I conveying, am I creating this reality? Am I creating a journey that is so much worthy that people will not mind putting all the efforts that they need to put in? You have to take your project and create a much bigger vision, a much bigger context for it. And talk about this vision and make sure this project, this goal that you're asking your team members to put effort in, this goal is part of the bigger vision. Okay. Steve said, I never did it for the money. He said it when he had the successful IPO of Pixar. Well, he was always focused on maximum revenue. But the reason for creating the products was very, very much vision driven. So you have to differentiate between those two perspectives. You want to sell your product, you want to make sure your service, your project is getting you the maximum revenue, be it money or appreciation or whatever. But you want to create this solution, you want to provide this service as part of your vision. Because when you're just interested in maximum revenue, your users, your customers will respond to that in a way that if you're just trying to get some money, they'll just try to get some money. They'll just try to find the cheapest solution. If your solution is cheap enough, they'll grab it. But if somebody else come along with a cheaper product, they'll take his. But if you act out of a vision, you share this vision, you embed this vision as part of your being, of your team's actions, your users, your customers will respond to that. They will engage with the vision. They will know about the vision. They will understand that when they use your solution, they are part of a vision that they appreciate and love. And they're more likely to support you for longer term. Now, it will also boost your energy because acting out of a vision you believe it energizes you. You do much more than just going for, I want to make some more money, I want to earn some more, I want to increase my salary. Okay, now, Steve called Larry Ellison my rich friend. And it's because Larry Ellison's Oracle CEO, he was going through trips around the world, and he would take Steve and his family along with him, and he would have his private jet and all the luxury stuff. But Steve's Zen-like approach was that the more you collect and attach to, the more you have more stuff, then the more your life is saturated. And what this means is that even when he had the opportunity to buy more stuff, to get more titles, to get more, buy more things, he would not do that because he felt that his life would be full with stuff instead of achievements, feelings, So the takeaway from this, the takeaway about this is that as you go along and you have success, do not focus on buying more things, getting more titles, whatever. It will burden you. Well, if you don't believe me, try it out. And you can try it out very simply. Just take a look at your room, at your office, at your task list, and tell me, if you have lots of stuff there, does it energize you? Does it provide you with the feeling, with the energy to go forward? Or does it excuse me, does it just burden you? If you have lots of stuff, you don't have the chance to use it anyway, so it's just there lying around. Anyway, the other thing was, Steve said long-lasting companies reinvent in themselves. So it's like the metamorphosis that a butterfly goes through. And Joseph Mercola said this to Steve Jobs when he was asking for his advice when he returned to Apple. Okay, but why are most companies avoid doing this, embracing this attitude fully? The whenever you have the biggest success, you turn around and reinvent yourself, making your current offering obsolete, or going to a totally new idea, totally new project, totally new product. So why do most companies do not reinvent themselves? They do not innovate enough. It is because, I say, it's because of the human nature that views change, I mean real massive change, as a real massive risk, and it's natural. Okay, and then you would turn your eyes away from the very clear risk you have when you're staying the same, because you're afraid of the risk, which is the risk of losing your innovation edge. Okay, so humans are habit oriented. That's why we stay on the collision course in most cases. We prefer dealing with what we already know than going into the new arenas. But that is exactly what's required to turn your company into a butterfly and beyond. You have to innovate. Okay. Design for simple. That's another rule. So people, your customers, your users, you yourself, we all want simple to use products because we want to feel we can own and control the product. We can control the situation using this product. So it's not about, when you want to design for a simplified use, it's not about dropping features, okay? It is about getting deep into the problem you want to solve, in making sure that you leave in your solution, in your design, the features that are the essence for the product. So if you're creating a software product that is all about monitoring systems, if you have dozens and dozens of screens showing whatever is, one can see about a system, and yet you don't provide an answer to a question saying, what do I need to take off first? Where do I have damages? Where do I need to put my attention? If you're not providing an answers to those questions, then you're providing just a bunch of features. You're not providing a solution. You're not designing for simple. Okay, let's get to the next item. Okay, so once you got your positioning, you won the game. How do you stay there? How do you keep competitors out of your way? So you need to get exclusive rights to the most critical, innovative component in your solution. So nobody else can use it. So others cannot compete at least for a while. And that's what Apple did and are doing. But that's what they started to do when they had a contract with Toshiba over the 5 gigabyte tiny drive that could hold up to 1,000 songs and was critical piece in Apple's first iPod. That's exactly what Apple are doing during this whole period where they created the iPhone, the iPod, and all this stuff. They are creating exclusive relations, exclusive rights to the mere hardware and sometimes maybe software components that are essential part of the solutions that they're going to provide. So when you're creating your solution, when you're creating your product, it's not always relevant, but whenever you want to create an advantage over your competitors, help your company get an edge over your competitors, make sure you address this item. Okay, so no divisions. What's that? Sony had failed to combat Apple's iTunes and iPod combination because Sony was a corporation and they had lots of divisions. Apple didn't have divisions really. Everybody at Apple was responsible for the bottom line and was focused, and we'll talk a bit more about it soon. Everybody in Apple was focused on the specific 2 or 3 or even single product, service, solution they wanted to offer at that point of time. Now in Sony, and you can see it in other big companies as well, Microsoft, Oracle, and others, you have separate divisions, and each division is responsible to providing a specific product, a specific service, and indeed they do need to integrate at some point. But every product, every solution is created by another part of the company. And this creates situations where there is competition. There is lack of alignment. So, think about it. When you're creating the teams in your group, when you're interacting with other groups in your company, and make sure you are creating an environment where the goals that you have, that your team has, integrates and is aligned with the big goals. And it's not easy, and it should be done from the top to the bottom. But everyone in the company should strive to reach this goal, even if the company is comprised of many different divisions. Okay. Another theme is allow self-cannibalization of your products, of your services, of your knowledge. Yet, do it if you want to try and leverage one product, one solution with another. So Apple was never afraid to cannibalize one of its product and solutions to help another one. But it did pay attention to building its line of products so that they leverage one another. So iPod sales drove Mac sales at some point, because you could sync and use the iPod fully only when you had a Mac. This changed, but it's an example. iTunes sales drove more iPod sales, and vice versa. So when you are creating your solution, you're happy with it. You have a product. You have you have a procedure. You have a script. Whatever. You have something you're happy with. Do not get into a situation where you don't want anybody to touch it. You don't want anybody to mess with it, even if there is a bigger opportunity that requires eating up your current achievement. Think about it. Okay. The 3 clicks rule. So in the iPod, when Apple developed the iPod, there was a rule. Every action should take no more than clear, trivial 3 clicks. That's simplification. And we have lots of products, lots of solutions that require many more steps to do a very simple task. And sometimes it's one of the most important tasks this device should do for you. So when you're creating your solution, make sure the most important needs can be fulfilled very quickly, very simply. And you have to pay more attention as you expand your solution, because many times you start with a simple solution, simple to use solution, but over time you start getting more requests to add more features. People want this to do more, and it's easy to get into a situation where your most important tasks that launch this solution are compromised by new features. Okay, now Apple didn't build stuff for their customers. They built stuff they would personally love to use. Now think about it. When you're creating your product, is it something you would love to use yourself? Why is this important? For several reasons. Firstly, when you're passionate about something, when you're creating something, you would use it yourself, you have much more energy to withstand the challenges you'll have in your way. You'll think much more in your solution, which be really much more tuned to the needs of your audience. Now, another reason is your whole positioning is about value when you build the stuff that you would personally love to use. And therefore, the end result would be much more, it will have much more value. Okay, Steve was always making sure Apple is focused on the top 2 to 3 priorities at each point. Now, this saved a lot of time, a lot of effort, and it was a cornerstone in Apple's build-up. Steve was always making sure this focus is maintained as he was holding the periodic all teams strategy and idea sessions. So Apple was always open to new ideas, but it had no problem killing ideas that were not aligned with the 2 or 3 top priorities. And another tip that's related to this: when you're going along doing your projects, doing your tasks, it's very easy to get more stuff on your plate, more stuff that you need to take care of. Make it a rule that when you want to add another opportunity, another task, another resource, you give away you take out something else. You don't saturate your task list. You don't saturate your project list. You don't saturate your solution. If you're putting something in, take something out. Okay. And it's amazing thinking that a company can focus on just 2 or 3 top priorities and still make money, but and have great success. But that's exactly what's happening with Apple. And by the way, one of the companies that I think is somewhat behaving the same, at least from innovation point of view, is VMware. I think it's a good example because every time that Microsoft or other companies try to pass over VMware, and sometimes by providing the same solutions that VMware provides, but providing them for free, VMware just leaps ahead and creates a whole new category of solutions, and they would give away for free the previous line of products, but they have in their arsenal and totally new kinds of solutions, or weapons, or whatever you want to call them. Okay, so the iPhone 4 antenna crisis. Let's take a look at it. Firstly, the phone did have problems. And Steve found out looking at the data. Remember, I think I talked about it. Even if you have lots of angry people or lots of negative input about your project, about your product, you have to look at the data, not just at. You don't just look at your feelings when somebody talks badly about your service. It sometimes it takes just one person to tell you you've done something bad for you to feel totally bad about it, as if it was completely ruined. But sometimes, and that's why you need to take a look at the data. Make sure how many people have a problem. What is the size of the problem? What exactly is happening there? So Steve, take a look at the data, but he found out there is a problem, but it's relatively minor. You could argue about it if you suffered from this. But anyway, his response was to analyze the data and then talk about it sincerely. He said, I think 4 sentences. He said, smartphones are not perfect. We are not perfect, meaning Apple. We are doing the best we can. And we want our customers to be happy. Now, think about it. I think it's very insightful. The first sentence actually took the conversation very smartly to another level, to another subject. It was not the iPhone 4, it was smartphones in general. So he was decreasing the specific issue of the iPhone 4, and he was very genius about doing that. And then he kind of apologized because he said, we are not perfect. Now, how can you attack somebody who says, I know I've done a mistake. I'm not perfect. And then he says, we're doing the best we can, which means, be sure we are working on a solution. And we have been doing always the best we can, and we will be doing the best we can, and we want our customers to be happy. So even before he had the solution, his message was saying, we are going to take care of you. And this is something which is very rare nowadays. There are many companies providing solutions and products, but there are much fewer companies and service providers who say and do the attitude, who take the attitude of, we're going to stick there no matter what happens until you're happy. Okay? So, we're almost there. I think we have 2 or 3 more tips. So, A players and love and thrive working with other A players. Minimize your B and C level players where you need innovation. What does this mean? The best people in your field, the people who are really the best, they love and they expand their energy and the end results when they have the opportunity to work with other A players, with other top guns, with other best experts in the field. If you mix in the same team A players and people who at this specific profession, they're B players, they're less they have abilities which are lower than the A players or even C players, and you let them work together, so what you're actually saying to the A players, hey, your time and effort is not very important, because I'm wasting your time working with people who are eating your time, and so your time is not very important. Now, I'm not saying that every team and every company should only have A players. No, you should have A players, you should have B players, you should have C players, and so on. And you should construct it such a way that the B players are working to become A players, and the A players are helping them. So it's not about isolation. A players should help B players, and B players should help C players, and so on. But in relation to what you expect from A players, the results you expect from them should be delivered within the A player team. You should not compromise the success of the A player team by injecting B players where you need innovation. Okay, you may not, agree with me on this, and it may trigger strong emotions, but take a look at it. I'm just saying, take a look and try it out. Now, Steve was always focused on building a company that is aiming not for just profits, and that's what most people do, it's natural. He was building Apple to become a success for generations to come. He was building it for the long term. And so when you're creating something, it can be your own solution, it can be a project you want to run with your team. The way to look at it is you don't build it just to reach the goal that people asked from you. You build it as you build the team, you build the solution as a long-term goal. So you don't compromise. You don't. It will purify your decisions, and it will reduce the amount of quick gain solutions you want to inject into your solution. Why would you do this? Why would you build something that lasts rather something that brings you immediate results or benefits or whatever? Why would you do that? Well, one reason is that everybody in your team would know about the positioning. If you're building something very, it's okay to build something quickly, but the whole attitude is what we're talking about. So if people in your team see you acting out of, I just want to build this, I don't care what happens after I finish with this solution, I don't care about the other teams, I just want to bring this on time, low cost, that's all. They will respond to this. They will put less efforts because they know it's not something, it's not something for the long term. So why bother doing it the best way you can? And the perception about you would be that you don't care too much about the others. So if you are selling something, then your customers will realize you don't care too much about them. You just want to sell this, and that's all. If you're an IT professional and you're providing a service to your users, they will feel it and they will respond appropriately. Now, this is just one of the views on my views on this. There are others, such as when you build something for the long term, then you actually save more money and time as time goes by, because this solution is durable. It's not, going away because you didn't spend enough efforts in it. Okay, The last tip, a company starts to lose in innovation and edge when the sales team take over the navigation and leadership of the company. So you put the focus on sales, on revenue, and forget about development, marketing, and vision. And if you're talking about a small team, then your small team will be less innovative when you as a leader and the team navigates its way in only one goal, which is to fulfill the current needs of your users or your customers, instead of making sure what you're building is part of a vision, is part of a project for the longer term, and will make your customers happy for the long term. And the reason is, people who are in charge of sales, their motivation is get more money for the product that we're selling, while development and marketing are interested in the future and in making sure your customers, your users, have the best experience, the best time using your product, that they're going to get something they would really love. In most cases, it's something new that you have to spend efforts in building. So in IT team, you would say that the salespeople maybe are the people who are saying, well, let's just do what we were told, while development and marketing in IT team are the people who are looking forward and saying, okay, we're going to do this project, we're going to do what we were asked to do, but we are going to make sure it's part of the bigger vision we have on how we should serve our users in the long term. And I hope we've reached the end of this episode. So I hope you really enjoyed it. Please leave a comment and rate this episode. I'd love to hear back from you, and I hope it was fun. So see you in the next episode. Bye bye.